All right, season podcast episode 16, week 12 reaction show, week 13 preview. We're on Alpha Brain, so we're going to be firing like crazy right now. I don't even know what it is. Nick gave it to me. I took 4 of them. Nick, how many did you take, Nick?
4. I mean, I think that's what it
Is it a Joe Rogan thing?
He's talked about taking. He's on it.
So is that how he gets? How many listeners on every show does he get?
Millions.
Is that the key?
Tens of millions.
Is this the key?
So does this do it?
We'll see.
I feel my brain's on fire right now.
Is it because of? Well, it might not be hitting yet. It might be the 6 you just took.
Have you seen?
And I just took.
What's that movie with Bradley Cooper?
Oh, Limitless.
Is that the Limitless drug that we just took?
I don't know, but I watched the TV.
Is it the 6 or the Alpha Brain? Something's firing right now.
Yeah, I watched the TV show Limitless.
Yeah.
It was great. I mean, imagine taking. I mean, that's where all the nootropics came out, and everyone's like, "All right, let's amplify the brain. Let's increase the intensity of everything in here going." So hopefully it works.
Yeah.
Hopefully I can pronounce words correctly, and you can as well, and you can say one correctly.
Go. Yeah.
Yeah. Fired up. Let's do it. Let's go. Yeah.
Okay, I gotta lock in, man.
I mean, we say lock in. I mean, when we
do.
created this,
Yeah, lock in.
Lock
And under
in.
that, we should put Alpha Brain. 6, 3s, 9s. All right, let's roll. Reminder to check out our social channels. Instagram at The Season Pod. YouTube channel at The Season Pod. The SZN Pod. We had 2 mini pods this week. The first was on Philly and their collapse at Dallas. We dove into that a bit. Check that out wherever you get your podcasts, also on our YouTube channel. We talked about incredible performers this year. Matt Stafford, JSN, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. Say it, Nick.
Jackson Smith and Jigba.
You did. Congratulations,
Dude,
man.
I did it right for the first time.
Yeah, it's really good.
I just go JSN
I'm
from
really
now
proud
on.
of you.
Yeah.
And then Myles Garrett.
Myles Garrett. That's how you say Myles Garrett.
One of our mini pods talked about what those 3 dudes are doing. They're on a historical pace, and Matt Stafford is the favorite to win the MVP because of it. And that's going to be fun to keep watching over the course of the year. Thanksgiving Day. So today is Wednesday. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. We have 3 games on Thanksgiving Day. Green Bay, Detroit in the morning at 10 a.m. Pacific. KC, Dallas, midday. We're going to get into that one. That's going to be a big one. Might break records for ratings for as far as regular season games go. Nick has a theory on that. And Cincinnati, Baltimore is the nightcap. And then Friday, we get a game. On Black Friday, you're decorating for Christmas at home. You got Chicago, Philly. There are a ton of cool storylines with that game as well we're going to jump into. So let's get into some quick reactions from Fallout from Week 12. This is some cool stuff that's gone on. I hate to say cool because the first one is a little rough for Chip. But Chip Kelly is already out for the Las Vegas Raiders after 12 weeks of calling plays for them. Now, remember this past offseason, he was hired as the highest paid offensive coordinator in the NFL at $2 million a year over 3 years. By the way, that surprised me. I thought offensive coordinators make more than that. But a lot of times, like, head coaches are calling plays, so, like, they're not going to overpay for this position. But the Raiders have lost 9 of their last 10. That's bad. It seemed rough from the get-go for Chip. Like, Pete Carroll would basically publicly call him out after games. He would question play calling openly, which is not normal for Pete. And Pete showed a lot of frustration with play calling early on. Now, to be fair to Chip, he was limited by personnel. Their offensive line is garbage. It's hard to call plays when your offensive line sucks and you have a new toy at running back in Ashton Genty and you can't effectively run the football. They allowed 10 sacks against the Browns. Now, you play Myles Garrett, you're going to allow some. They allowed 10. They were almost always in 3rd and long, it felt like. And you're watching them, you're like, this is tough sledding, right? With Genty, Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer. Now, their best receivers were mainly their tight ends, which is not good. But you'd think they'd find some sort of rhythm, and Pete decides to bail on them. I don't even know how much longer Pete has there. This is hard to watch for the Raiders. They are by far the worst team in football. They're struggling, but Chip's out. So I don't know what you played for Chip. He traded your ass. Like I don't know how we feel about this. Like what's going on?
Yeah, people always ask me, when I'm in Philadelphia, they'll go through my career, they go through, obviously the Super Bowl and the year after, and then they go back to the Chip Kelly year, what it was like playing for, is that 6 hitting pretty good?
Yeah.
And honestly, 2013 was one of the most fun years of football.
Yeah. 27-2?
Yeah, 27-2. Really 29-2 if you had the playoffs. So,
That's right.
I didn't throw an interception in the playoff game. But those don't count towards regular season stats. But that was one of the most fun years of football that year. Just running that offense, had a blast. We were really good. We figured things out. I really enjoyed playing for Chip. The next year, there's a lot of pressure coaching in the NFL, playing in the NFL. Things were a little bit different going into the next year. I got injured the 8th game in Houston, and then
Is that collarbone?
fractured collarbone, and then At the end of the season, off season, was getting back, getting healthy, and I remember the day he called me, and I was feeling really good. I just played pickup basketball at Equinox, played really well. We might have been together, and Chip called me, and I went into the weight room and just sat down at the leg press machine, just took the call. I thought he was just catching up. And I'm like, man, he's like, how you doing? I'm doing great. Feel great, body feels great, mind. Because when you're a young player, you hit this mountaintop like I did, going to the Pro Bowl MVP, having a successful year. Then the next year, we're 6-2 and I get injured, but statistically it was good. Had thrown a little bit more interceptions than I would like, but continuing to learn. And then I was about to go into year 4, and I felt like I had recalibrated, felt great, was really excited, really confident, and it was a one minute phone call.
Then bye-bye.
And no, literally 1 minute. I'll never forget, 1 minute phone call.
1 minute.
And the first 30 seconds talking about
coaches,
how excited I am. I'm fired up. And then in the last 30 seconds, like, hey, just appreciate everything you did in Philly. Right when you said that, I'm like, wait, what is going on? Because I'm in Philly.
I don't know if I've heard this.
No, so like I'm in Philly and I'm drafted, and I when players are drafted to places, that's where you think you're going to play.
And Andy drafted you.
Andy drafted me, had a lot of success under Chip, was the most successful quarterback during his NFL career. From a quarterback head coach standpoint, we had success.
You and Andy?
Me and Chip.
Okay.
Me and Chip. Not Andy was a rough year.
Donovan?
And then he's letting me go. I'm traded for Sam Bradford to St. Louis, but he got rid of a lot of us, and that was tough because then
there might have been some Pat Shurmur going on there too.
There might have been some Pat Shurmur, but we won't get into that. Pat's trying to figure it out with the old Buffaloes in Colorado right now. They're having a rough year. But that's tough. That's the NFL. 2 minutes later, I'm on the phone with Jeff Fisher, and they're working on my flights to come out the next morning. So I go from excited about going into Philly for year 4, excited to pick up where I left off in 13 and grow as a player, to now I'm traded to St. Louis, and the next day I'm with Torrey, and we're meeting Jeff Fisher for dinner, and they're excited for me, the Rams. And my head is just spinning, but that's the NFL.
Yeah.
So that all to be said with Chip, I mean, he had a tough year, but the interim OC, I actually think the Raiders will have more success offensively now. They have Greg Olson now, who's going to take over as the interim. Okay. He's been in the league for 2 decades, primarily as a quarterback coach and an offensive coordinator. Look to the tight ends are going to get heavily involved. If you look back through Greg Olson's career calling plays, his tight ends have had a lot of success. And specifically in the last decade, you have Jared Cook and Darren Waller, who have had great success with him. He's going to run more of a pro-style system. My guess is they're going to start running the ball a lot better. Get the tight ends involved, some more play action, some more under center, just to give them a chance to be first and second down, base downs. You said third and long. They're in third and long a lot. They got to take the pressure off Geno Smith. Third and long in the NFL is very hard to convert. So I actually see this is a good decision by Pete. I mean, Chip Kelly is going to make $4.3 million now not to coach in the NFL for the next couple of years. He'll probably go find something else to do or probably be on TV before long. But I actually think this is a good decision by them in that sense. Greg Olson will probably do a good job, and we'll see where they go. But, yeah, they had to make a change. Pete knows that. He's been around so long. He's a great head coach. Everyone who's ever played for him, you've played for Pete as well, really enjoyed their time with him in a sense of he's a competitive guy. Everything he does within his organization, you can speak on this more than I can, but all I've heard is everything they do is competitive and fun and energy and swag and all these different things. So Pete, that has not been the Raiders this year at all, and he's trying to figure that out.
Yeah, I wonder right now how much fun Pete's having, because when I was with him in Seattle in 2012, during walkthroughs, he's like walking around between the offense and defensive side, like he says, guys, watch this. He's trying to he's like a 7-year-old kid.
Yeah,
and he's trying to throw the football, and he can still throw it for his age, and he's trying to hit a target, and he had his assistants put targets up around the indoor, up on the high points of the indoor. And he's trying to hit it. He goes, "Do you think I could hit it? $10? Think I could hit it?" During walkthrough. I don't know if he's having that much fun right now. He's got basketball hoops all over the building because he wants to stop and hey, let's do a quick game of lightning. He'll do that stuff after walkthroughs.
What's lightning?
Makes it fun. Knockout, whatever you call it. What do you call it?
Knockout. Lightning.
But Chip has had a very strange career because made a name for himself at Oregon, historically good at Oregon. But then again, at Oregon was kind of given the keys to the Ferrari, right? Mike Bellotti built that. And then here you go. Some people would say Rich Brooks built it, but Mike Bellotti.
Some people might say Phil Knight.
That too. Gives him the keys to the Ferrari, and he makes it even better. Then he goes to Philly and has 2 10-win seasons. But then the whole idea of him getting roster control didn't really work. When you ship guys like you, Deshaun Jackson, LaShawn McCoy, when you don't jive with those guys and they leave town, it better work, or the leash, or like the tolerance is going to be like really, really small.
And he was gone after the
He was
third
gone,
year.
right?
Yeah.
You're like, hey, dude, you're going to come in and rock the boat like that after having 2 straight 10-win seasons with those guys. It better work. It didn't work. See you later.
And that's
and then they brought Howie back to the top, right? Because Howie was kind of relegated a little bit.
Howie, and that was a big reason when they wanted me to come back in 2017. I had to really think hard about it, and Tori and I had to pray about it, talk about it. We had just had Lily, and it was tough because you're traded away from Philly.
Did you feel betrayed?
Not betrayed. It was just tough. It was the first time in the NFL, and most every player experiences this, where you see the business side, the business aspect, where it just surprises you. Mm-hmm. And when I was thinking about it, Howie was the one who drafted me. He was thrown to the other side of the building in basically a closet and said, just go over there. Because he also had a great relationship with Mr. Lurie, the owner.
Right.
And so he was going to be a part of the team. And then, they go through that year, and then Howie comes back to position. And Howie eventually wants me to come back there and be the backup to Carson. So once I had taken time to really think through it and gone through what I needed to go through to eventually want to play again, or actually this was after Kansas City, so this is totally different. So I wanted to play, wanted to stay in Kansas City. They were going after Mahomes. It was either Tampa Bay or Philly. Tampa Bay was offering me more money, a greater percentage, actually more money guaranteed. But I just love Philly, and it was great for Tori, myself, and having Lily. We knew the family feel and the guys in the locker room that had kids, it would be a better fit for us at the time to go back there with Lily and be with Carson and help him grow as a young player. So Howie being back in position actually helped that, because he was the one who drafted me. And I knew what had happened when I was traded, like the roster control. And what people don't realize is you can bring all these pieces, all these names, get rid of these names, try to build me for Sam Bradford, all these different things. But you're also recreating a culture that you've been working to establish, and you just rip that up. And that's where the struggle is. And that's
very
why
risky.
In the NFL, culture is, you hear it all the time. It's in business. It's in everything. You build a culture that can sustain success. Mm-hmm. And what Chip learned the hard way was, you can't just rip pieces that are a key cornerstone to this culture and rip it apart and trade them away, and then try to rebuild it with pieces that you think might be better or more aligned with your scheme.
I would argue Chip has never totally recovered from that, because after that he went to the Niners, was like a year, and it was bad. Now, that was weird because the Niners were in a bad spot. He didn't last there. Did some TV, and it eventually ended up at Ohio State, won a national championship calling plays with Ryan Day. Now, they are obviously superior.
Just last year.
Yeah, from a personnel standpoint, they are fantastic. I'm sorry. He was at UCLA as well as a head coach. And he did a really nice job at UCLA. I mean, UCLA, I think sometimes the expectations that fans have for them are almost too high. Chip was really good at UCLA
compared to what's happened in the last
10-win
couple
seasons,
years,
and it's like, hey, you probably should have just been happy with what you had. Didn't get a lot of notoriety there, though. And then this year ends up with the Raiders and really fell pretty hard on his face. So Chip has been so up and down, right? He's had some highs, no question, but he's also had those lows. And his time in Philly was a head scratcher at times too.
I do have one more point to add to the story with Chip with the 1-minute phone call. So the 1-minute phone call happens just last year. My mom had gone through a lot of stuff got sent to them throughout the years, throughout my career to Texas. And she sent me a box of just things that had never gotten back to me. And one of them was a closed envelope from the Philadelphia Eagles back from 2014.
When you got traded?
When I got traded. It never been opened. I don't think they opened it. And it just probably got lost, and she put it in a box for me someday to have. So I'm like, all right, I'm at the house. I'm in California. I open it up. Chip Kelly actually, he did back then. He sent me a card with a letter that he had handwritten, thanking me for playing for him and how grateful.
You had never seen it?
I had never seen it until last year. So I read it and I'm like, man, the 1-minute phone call has always been a part of my story, and it's always been difficult. Even when we wrote the Believe It book, which is right here, that's in there because that hit, and it probably should have been a more robust phone call with everything we had gone through. But he did write me a letter that I didn't get till 2024,
but that's how it works,
2025.
You write a letter and Nick never sees it, but you had a chance to talk to him on the phone. And this is a lot, by the way. There's a lot of things that really good football coaches do well, but it really blows my mind how often they fall short with interpersonal skills. Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, I know this is awkward. You're trading Nick. I know it's awkward, but hey, you're a very highly paid leader of an organization. It's your job to confront that and deal with it head on and talk to Nick, right? And granted, you were on your way out, but it's amazing how often they fall short with the guys that are still in the building and just communicating.
Yeah.
I mean, like Pete was pretty good at it when I got released from, and I wasn't your stature by any means, but when I was released from Seattle, like he brought me up. Mike McCarthy, and I was released from Green Bay, brought me up. I was a low guy on the roster, talked to me for 5 minutes. I got 5 minutes out of Mike McCarthy as an undrafted rookie. You got 1 minute from Chip.
Yeah.
And I was getting cut.
Yeah.
You were getting traded, right? Yeah. I mean, it's the lack of interpersonal skills and willingness just to look guys dead in the eye and tell them like how much you appreciate it and why this is why we're doing it. I know you might disagree. That goes a long way.
Yeah.
And the fact he failed to do that, I think there's a reason you had, not on purpose, but there's a reason you overlooked that letter. It wasn't meant to be read because Chip didn't deserve for that to be read.
Yeah, and I didn't,
in my opinion.
And honestly,
you know?
I never knew that it had gotten received. You know, there's so much mail that gets sent to my agency or to Texas or wherever it may be that I don't see.
Yeah.
And that's tough. But I agree with you. I do think that one of Chip's struggles is interpersonal communication. And it's hard because you're the head coach of, you know, however many players there is on a roster now, you know, 53, but then you have practice squad and you only have so much energy, so much bandwidth. But the great coaches have a way of handling that, you know, whether it's your exit meetings each year. I remember with Andy Reid in Kansas City or Doug Peterson, like you go speak, every player goes and speaks to the head coach for a decent amount of time. It's a long day, but it's just the way they do things because they want to give you your time. They want to show you the appreciation. They're going to be exhausted at the end of the day because when you have one-on-one conversations with that many people through the course of a day, it does wear you out, but they know how important it is to the culture and what they're building. And then you never know when, you know, maybe this player won't be there any longer, but I mean, how many times do players go back to a team where they were because they go somewhere else and they're like, man, I miss that.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I went back to Philly. I missed that. So I went back.
That lack of communication, I'm sure in some form or fashion, has also affected the way the Raiders are playing this year. I'm sure it has, right? Unless he's gotten better at it, but that's not a strength of Chip's. I haven't noticed it from afar too. But that is that. Look, most people focus on when they talk about you leaving Philly. Most people focus on after the Super Bowl how this choice was made with Carson and Nick, which wasn't really a choice because Carson contractually was in a much different spot. Most people forget back in 13-14 how Chip made this 1 minute phone call, and that was probably the even bigger one of like, hey, we're going to move on from Nick, which was interesting to say the least. So,
but it all worked out in the end.
It's all good, and Chip is out in Vegas. That's what we were getting at here, and that was our quick reaction to it. But Nick, that's really good. That's really good stuff there. Second here. So we've said many times that the Bills. So the Bills are 7-4, and they're a team right now that is going to struggle to win their division because the Patriots have won 9 in a row, and they're 9-2, and the 10-2. Patriots are great, first team in the league to win 10 games, and right now the Bills are in a fight to make the playoffs. And one of the weaknesses they have, the obvious weakness, is they can't stop the run, right? And that's gonna hurt them in the playoffs unless they figure it out. But another one that sometimes gets overlooked is like I think they need wide receiver help, specifically a guy to push the ball down the field. So Keon Coleman, their first-round pick last year, has been a healthy scratch in 2 straight games. He was benched in a game 2 weeks ago because he missed a meeting, and he's like dancing on the sideline before the game. It's like, dude, zero self-awareness, right? There's videos of him dancing. It's like you are suspended from this game by your team, and you're dancing on, and then didn't play the next game either. I would assume it's for the same reason. I don't think it was injury related, but so Keon Coleman's dicey, even though he's the first-round pick last year. But Keon Coleman's not truly a deep threat. He's more of a 50-50 ball guy, kind of a big body receiver.
Reminds me a little bit of Allen Robinson. You know, just like
I think that's a compliment to Keon. I don't know if he's
not as good as
similar
Allen.
skill set.
Yeah, similar skill set. Allen was a better receiver.
Dalton Kincaid's a weapon for them, but he's a tight end,
Yeah.
and he really can't be your number one. So I think they're searching. They made an acquisition that made a little bit of news. Brandon Cooks has been signed. Brandon Cooks was released mutually released in a way by the Saints a few weeks ago. He is now in Buffalo. He's 32 years old, 12-year career. So far this year, only 19 catches for 165 yards with the Saints in I don't know, 8, 9, 10 games, whatever it was. I don't think this is really going to move the needle, but it's still notable. Brandon Cooks has had bright spots in his journeyman career. You actually sort of predicted this. They should sign Brandon Cooks, and I was laughing. They ended up signing Brandon Cooks. Now, will he be a big part of what they're doing? I don't know. 32 years old, not too old, but also not young. But they need help at receiver. And
Brandon Cooks needed a quarterback.
True. Maybe they think they got it. He's a veteran, obviously.
I mean, the thing is, he can still roll, and he can give them something that they don't have. That downfield threat that the opposing defenses have to honor. So it should stretch the defense out a little bit in coverage. And I have to believe he still has some juice left in. And there's a thing like we've talked about Devontae Adams. We talked about on the mini pod this week where, in the Jets, we were like, oh man, what's happening to him? What's going on? And look what he's doing this year with Matthew Stafford. Sometimes he just takes a different scenery, a better quarterback. Josh Allen is obviously a better quarterback. New Orleans, the reason Kellen Moore's struggling, so they don't have a quarterback that can really do this right now. So Brandon Cooks, I'm sure they went into a meeting. I believe he wore the C on his chest, so he's a captain on the team. He only had 100-something yards receiving, rough year. But at the same time, he was probably saying, hey, I'm getting at the end of my career. Release me. Let me go have an opportunity to get with a contender, someone that might sign me to have a chance to make a playoff push. So I think he'll help the Bills. I mean, they need it. So he's going to add something to it.
So I mentioned last year's first-round pick hasn't played the last 2 games in Keon Coleman. Their other receivers are Khalil Shakir, who's a very good player, slot guy, a slot guy that Philly could use. That's a good example of that's what I'm talking about with slot guy. Josh Palmer, Tyrell Shavers has made some plays the last couple weeks. Curtis Samuel, Elijah Moore. So they've gotten spot production out of each of these guys, but they really need another option. Again, I don't know that Brandon Cooks is going to be the guy, but notable that he was signed. Seems like it probably won't do a whole lot. We're going to talk about this a little bit more later, but Joe Burrow is expected to return on Thanksgiving, the nightcap game where they play the Ravens. The team is 1-8, started by games with Flacco and Jake Browning. And they're currently 3-8 overall, but they're 1-8 with those 2 guys. Now, they didn't do very well with Jake Browning, but with Joe Flacco, they're averaging over 27 points a game. So I don't really think like the issue. Joe Burrow will make them better. I'm not going to say anything other than that, but Flacco's not the problem by any means. Since he's last in the NFL in scoring defense, 32.7 points a game. They're even worse than the Cowboys, who have been pretty bad defensively but are improving. So the issue, there's a lot of issues in Cincinnati. It wasn't Joe Flacco. They'll be better with Joe Burrow, but it's fair to ask the question, like, why even bring him back now? Like, obviously, he's a very highly paid player. He puts butts in seats, and if you're an owner, you're like, I'm paying him to play, not sit. I want him on the field. But this season at 3-8, like, technically they're not at 0% chance of making the playoffs, but it's under 5. It's very small. Why even bring him back now? What do you think? If you're Joe Burrow, I mean, Joe already said, I'm not going to live my life being scared of what could happen, meaning I'm not going to sit on the bench because I'm worried about getting hurt. What are your thoughts on him bringing him back?
No, I think the big thing is Joe wants to play. I'm sure they sat down
Which is important.
He wants to be out there. He wants to, also the coaches. I think there's a question mark, like, is, Zach Taylor, he's had success there, but, the coaches need to win some games, obviously, to protect their jobs. But, it's just interesting. They get rid of their defensive coordinator last year. They sort of put it on him. He's now in Indianapolis, one of the top teams in the NFL. They're having great success. So it just shows you sometimes coaches and organizations make these changes and it totally backfires. And I think that one backfired with them with their defense. You just said the statistics, one of the worst in the league, if not the worst in the league. But, Joe Burrow wants to play. He's probably been waiting to play all year. He's just trying to get healthy. So, they go out there and they could have a strong ending of this season that could propel them into the offseason to have success next year. But he wants to play. He knows he's getting paid a lot, but it's not about the pay is part of it, but he's a competitor.
Yeah.
I love what he said. I think that's what you want in your franchise quarterback. Like, I'm not afraid of this. I want to play with my guys, no matter even if we don't have a chance to make the playoffs. And plus, he's also been watching Joe Flacco have great success offensively. So he's sitting there like, man, okay.
Yeah.
Things are humming. Things are in a good position for me to come back. It's not like they're the worst offense in the league when was it Browning?
Jake Browning.
Jake Browning was playing like where they were really struggling.
They were bad.
If Jake kept playing and kept going that direction, you're sitting there like, man, we just look awful. Man, Joe Flacco has probably reignited Joe Burrow to go out there and be like, hey, I want to play. Yeah. I'm excited. I know I can do what Joe's doing, maybe even better. So I agree. Joe Flacco's not the problem. I love that. Man, there's so many Joes. I'm like getting confused. Joe. I'm excited Burrow's playing. I think it'll be a great game. It makes it harder for the Ravens. Ravens need to keep winning, and you'll get into it. But Lamar Jackson, they're winning, but he's not playing great ball.
And in some ways, it's not all that dissimilar to last year. So I do agree with you that Joe wanting to play he said all the things I would want my franchise quarterback to say. Like, he's anxious to get back out there and play. If you remember last year, they started the season terribly when he was playing. They finished really strong and gave themselves a ton of optimism for this season. So I think that's also what the organization and Joe himself are thinking, like, hey, even if I come back and let's say we rip off, we win like 4 out of 6 or whatever, which is unlikely, but it's possible. We at least set ourselves up for next year, which is what they did last year. Now, then this year he gets hurt and their defense falls apart. But I respect the hell out of Joe Burrow fighting to come back, despite the fact that the season appears to be over. Next one, Nick, this one's interesting because The Colts right now are 8-3. They fell to 8-3 this past week after losing to the Chiefs on the road. They were up 20-9 in the fourth quarter, and they were, for the better part of the game, felt like they were in total control. I mean, in the third quarter, I'm watching thinking, okay, we're going to be discussing the Chiefs losing and falling to 5-6 and basically being more or less out of the playoff race. That's not what happened. I mean, Kansas City was 0-5 in close games this year going into this game, like everyone likes to talk about. One-score games, they were 0-5 after being 11-0 last year in one-score games. Indy's defense looked tired because the high-powered offense basically disappeared with the game on the line. The Colts entered this game leading the league. So my question here is, should the Colts be concerned? The Colts entered leading the league in points per game, yards per game, and red zone efficiency. After 2 first-half touchdowns and 2 third-quarter field goals, their offense couldn't do anything. So credit Chiefs defense for this, but also let's focus on the Colts for a second. The Colts piled up 18 total yards and no first downs in the fourth quarter and overtime combined. 18 yards and no first downs. While the Chiefs, during that same period, fourth quarter overtime, had 236 total yards and 13 first downs. So Indy's defense was exhausted. Their defense has been pretty good this year. Exhausted. Offense couldn't do anything. Ton of 3-and-outs. Jonathan Taylor saw 1 carry in the fourth quarter and 2 in overtime. And here's a really strange thing that the Colts did. They won the toss in overtime. Remember, each team, they won the toss in overtime. Each team gets a possession regardless of the new rule this year, regardless of if your team scores a touchdown. So as bad as your offense was playing late in that game, you take the ball first. That's what the Colts did. They go 3-and-out like they had been doing the whole fourth quarter, and then in overtime they go 3-and-out. Then you risk, because the issue with going 3-and-out in that situation is you risk punting the ball to Mahomes, and Mahomes only needs a field goal to win.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs were playing really well.
Yeah.
I am, based on those circumstances, I don't know how you feel about this, 100 times out of 100, I'm kicking the ball off to start overtime, just in the hope that we can get a stop and only need a field goal.
Yeah, stop or turnover.
I couldn't believe it. I'm watching. I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna take the ball first. This is like a massive foul ball here. I couldn't believe it. So what I'm getting at here is, A, should the Colts be concerned, and B, this is our luck because they didn't really give it to Jonathan Taylor much in the fourth quarter. One question that everyone's had the whole year is, yes, Daniel Jones is playing really well, but is he going to turn into a pumpkin? Is he going to fall apart? Right? Didn't look very good late in that game. And they're going to need him. For me, that was like a playoff moment, right? We talk about moments a lot on this show. That was a moment where I know this isn't going to stop them from making the playoffs, but it was that, like, if you're Shane Steichen, you're sitting there saying, okay, this is it. Like, this is our first real big moment of the season. On the road at Kansas City at Arrowhead with a chance to win a game that some people thought we might lose, a chance to push to 9-2, and our quarterback, like, we're going to put it on him. And we hadn't seen Daniel Jones in those moments yet. So this is the first. He's going to get more opportunities because the schedule is going to get tougher. But in that, like, for him not to be able to convert anything down the stretch is concerning. And so it's fair to ask, like, okay, first 10 games of the season, great job, Colts. Now when it gets real, things started to fall apart. Should we be concerned about the Colts?
Yeah, I think there's, quarterbacks that are elite are the ones, and I know I'm not saying I was elite, but when I was on a good team like in Philadelphia, I knew there'd be games where you could fill the game. Like, are we running the ball well? Okay, if we're rushing the ball well, just stay within the offensive scheme. Complementary football, running, passing will be good. But there's also games, I go back to 2018. We need to win the last 3 games of the season. We have a 3% chance to make the playoffs. That's what our percentage chance, when I took over when Carson got hurt again.
In 18?
In 18. This is after the Super Bowl year. We have to play the Rams on the road, the Texans at home, and then there was the Redskins, but the Commanders on the road. We need to win all 3% chance to make the playoffs. So we play the Texans at home. And I don't remember our rushing statistics, but we ended up throwing for over 470 yards in a game. It just was one of those games as a quarterback. I knew early on it was going to be on my shoulders. And it doesn't mean you force balls, but you're like, all right, it's on me. I got to make the plays. Like, I got to be aggressive. Let the receivers, tight ends know, like, hey, let's keep going. Let the coaches know.
That was the slot post to Nelly?
Yeah, that was the audible to Blackbeard post that was supposed to be stash something. It was supposed to be a 5-yard little first down completion, and then they gave me 4 mini, which is a type of coverage, a cover 4, where Honey Badger was one-on-one with Nelson Aguilar. and just sort of orchestrated a concept that could attack that coverage that we wouldn't see that often during the game to give him a chance one-on-one against a safety, a lesser defender. But I knew throughout that game that it was going to be on our shoulders, my shoulders, to keep scoring points. And it took everything to where we had a last-second field goal to win the game. Quarterbacks on these great teams, Daniel Jones, like this was a moment for him where, you know, their identity, and they got away from their identity. Shane Steichen said throughout the year, we passed a score in the first half and we run to win in the second half.
Yeah, there you go.
Your statistics show with Jonathan Taylor in the fourth quarter.
Your on fire today.
Man, I don't need it. It's just always on fire,
good.
you know. But, you know, 1 carry in the fourth and 2 in overtime. That's not your identity, man. Yeah. Your identity is to feed Jonathan Taylor. And I will say this, you know, Daniel Jones has been playing really, really well this year. He's re-energized his career, probably the quarterback of the future for the Colts. But in these moments, well, this goes back to the coaches too. They got to feed Jonathan Taylor. And I know the defense is probably giving him looks, but still find a way to get him going because he's going to make guys miss. That's what he does. You got away from your identity. You got to remember your identity as an offense. You lose it. It seems like they just got rattled with their identity in this game. Yeah. I don't know if it was playing against Kansas City and Arrowhead, what it was, Pat Mahomes, Andy Reid. Something happened mentally that just messed them up, and they got away from their identity. So that's a big issue.
Well, I will say that throughout the game, Jonathan Taylor had not been very efficient. And I went back and watched several of the snaps in the second half. I don't think the offensive line right now for the Colts, for whatever reason, they're not banged up. I don't think their offensive line's playing very well. They have fallen off a hair. Now, again, maybe that's shit.
But JT's also what's his percentage of making guys miss after a tackle rush?
Totally.
Right? So it's like
But for some reason, the offensive line's not playing great.
But for him only to get 1 carry in the fourth.
It's a problem.
And 2,
Shane didn't trust it. Shane lost it. Like, he lost his way a little bit.
And that happens sometimes. But at the same time, that's where Daniel Jones has to put it on his shoulder and be like, hey, this is why I'm here, to make these throws, make these plays when our rush game, our run game, Jonathan Taylor's been our workhorse the entire year. The big reason they have success. When you can run the ball that well, that means you're going to get a post-safety look, which is you have an advantage in the secondary.
Just one safety in the middle.
One safety in the middle. You don't have 2 safeties. Secondary is a little softer, more throwing lanes, easier to throw a ball against. That's where, as a quarterback, you have to get with your receivers and tight end and say, hey, this is on us. We have to win this game. And it just didn't happen. And that's alarming to me because they're going to end the year really well. They're going to do a great job. But if Daniel Jones in those moments can't show that he can put it on his shoulders with his receivers and tight ends, that's going to be a problem for them going forward. And then big thing, like I said, going back to pass the score, run to win. That's their identity. Stick to it.
Stick to it. And again, if people are wondering, like, these guys are human, right? Shane Steichen's a human being. As he's on the sideline with his staff talking about play calls, talking about strategy. When you're on the road at Arrowhead and you're not totally trusting your run game, and these guys can kind of fall apart mentally a little bit too and lose their way. And after being like, what was I doing? You're watching the film, you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done this and this and this. We should have done this. There probably were a lot of regrets in that game about how they handled things late. Because I mentioned in the fourth quarter and overtime combined, 18 total yards. Yeah. And Jonathan Taylor saw the ball 3 total times. And like you said, get away from your identity. I think it also started like if he could have it back, he would not have taken the ball first. That's a game that got away from him. It's a game they should have won. They still are in play for a 1 seed and a bye and home field advantage, but that one I think is going to come back to bite them. And as you go through the playoffs in the NFL, you know better than anybody here, there's going to be more moments where Daniel Jones is going to, like, this is why people have doubt. If there's ever been doubt about the Colts, it's this right here. Yes, this team's really good. They do a lot of things well, but in weeks 15, 16, 17, and then into the playoffs, when we have these key moments where Daniel Jones has to do something with his arm to win the game, do I trust him? That is the question. It's fair to ask that question because he hasn't proven that to us yet. Yeah. Right. So it's fair to ask it. We're not being mean to him. Like, it's fair to ask it. And that was the first one of the season, and he failed it. Right. So moving forward, can he do it? I don't know. We'll see. But that is the crux of the issue.
And
right?
There's going to be a lot now that we're in this approaching the last quarter of the season. There's going to be increased moments with a great team, and he's going to have opportunities. And when he does, if he can excel in those, it creates a strong belief and energy and identity within a team, because the defense is always watching the quarterback. They get energy. I remember, in Philadelphia, like the defensive guys, hey, Nicky, we're going to get you the ball back. We're going to get you the ball right here. Because they believe that, hey, get him the ball, and then they just wanted to watch. They wanted to watch us do something special. And more times than not, we were able to do so. And it just created more momentum, more confidence within one another, and more belief. And whenever you have that in your mind, you play faster, you play harder, you play better. But when there's a lack of belief and you get in those moments where a quarterback can excel, it makes it hard for the team to play at that speed. And I think you made a great point. In overtime, with the rules now, you're always kicking it. you want to see, do you need a field goal to win or do I need a touchdown and am I going for 2? But you made a great point in our show notes. Man, the defense had been on the field for most of the second half. They were exhausted.
That's probably why he did
And
it.
a big reason why he did it contextually is the defense needed a rest and the offense was fresh.
I think
Which is kudos to the Chiefs.
Okay, that's a good point. I get why. That's why, right? I'm sure Shane, if he were sitting here, he'd be like, "That's why I did it." I just think though, you don't want to be in a situation where you go 3 and out, which is they also been doing that. So you're saying defense tired, but you're also going 3 and out too much, which is why the defense is tired. You don't want to give Mahomes the ball at Arrowhead only needing a field goal. I would say your chances of losing the game are probably 90%. If you do that, and then couple that with the fact there's probably a greater than 50% chance you're going to go 3 and out. And then there's a 90% chance that Mahomes is going to get at least a field goal. So what's 0.9 times 0.5, right? That's what it comes down to. 9 times 5 it's 45% chance you lose the game if you take that, right? Like I don't know. It made me uncomfortable the way they did it.
Well, just as a head coach, I mean, you're getting a little bit of a break going into overtime. There's probably a commercial break. You got to go do the coin toss. Your defense can, have oxygen, get ready. And then you just go up to him like, all I need is 3 plays. All I need is 3 plays.
Yeah.
Maybe 4 if they go 4 on 4, but that is all I need. You're not counting on them having a drive. Just give me your 3 best plays right now and make them punt the ball to us. That's it.
Then do it. All right. On the heels of our mini pod, I want to bring up one more point here because these are Week 12 reactions, quick reactions. Late on Monday, Nick Sirianni was asked, and I haven't seen him directly asked this all that much and spent a lot of time discussing it. He was asked by the media whether he has considered changing play callers. So Kevin Patullo is the offensive coordinator. Kevin's under a lot of fire. I feel for Kevin. Seems like a great dude. He's had to answer a lot of questions this year because it's a lot different this year than it was last year with Kellen Moore. And not surprisingly, Nick Sirianni backed Kevin Patullo. And he kind of, in a lot of different ways, said, look, it's never just one thing, right? There's a lot of things we have to fix, and Kevin's doing his best to do that, and I believe in Kevin Patullo. And in fact, he even cited the first 3 drives. So we were humming in that game, and then it kind of fell apart. So it got me thinking about one more thing with regard to the Eagles. Without repeating what we already discussed on the mini pod on Monday, go check it out. I want to get your thoughts on this, Nick. I'm going to ask you this question. I'm going to shut the hell up because I know, Eagles fans, like when we dive into Philly, they want to hear what Nick has to say. I'm not even allowed to interrupt and interject. Like I got to let Nick go. All right. For all these internet idiots, I'm going to ask this. I'm going to let Nick talk. Sirianni was asked about this, and it got me thinking about something else. So the offense, like the rhythm of this offense is off. And there's several reasons for this, but one of the most notable ones is they're just not running the ball very well. If you look at Saquon's stats this year, like against the Cowboys, 10 carries for 22 yards. He's averaging 1.9 yards per rush in the fourth quarter this year. Last year, it was 6.6 yards per rush in the fourth quarter. Now, here's something that points to the offensive line. So he's averaging 1.4 yards before contact per carry this year. So 1.4 yards before he is contacted by a defensive player. Last year, it was a full yard better or more, 2.64 yards. Now, think about how much that lets him get more to full speed to make a move and then get more yards after contact, right? So that's a big deal. 1.4 yards before contact per carry this year, this year 1.4. Last year was 2.64. So a big difference in what the offensive line's doing up front. On Sunday at Dallas, he averaged -1 yards before contact per carry. Now, I saw some clips where like Saquon missed a hole or missed a read. That happens, right? But generally speaking, Saquon is getting blasted before he even gets a chance to get going. This points to the offensive line, So one thing that we haven't brought up on this show that I want to get your thoughts on is Stoutland, the offensive line coach, who's also the run game coordinator. Stoutland is still there. And I know Lane didn't play last week, Lane Johnson, the right tackle, but generally it's been the same group for most of the year, more or less, right? There hasn't been a ton of turnover. So given that Stout is still there, the run game coordinator, more or less the personnel is still in place, and there's been a huge fall off in production in the run game. Is that Patullo's fault? How do you reconcile and explain the fact that like Stoutland's still there and they've fallen off so much in the run game and it's obviously affecting the flow of their offense?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing we've been talking about, scheme, right?
But why would this scheme be different though?
I mean,
like with Stout, he's the one designing run.
He
game.
is, but last year is more Kellen Moore with the passing game. Is more with the passing game and the shifts and the motions and the play calling and when to call screens and everything in between. But I did go. The O-line's been a little bit more banged up this year. You know, you got injuries to Lane Johnson, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens. Last year, 75% of the snaps of the offensive line was the starters. So they stayed healthy. They're more cohesive. Kellen Moore has been a dynamic play caller throughout his career. A lot of people compare this year to Brian Johnson a few years ago when they hired within, and they just say, man, hiring within has been really difficult. And I was curious, let's see how the 2023 Eagles, which had a strong start and a bad ending to the year with Brian Johnson hired within, compare to the Eagles this year coming after the Super Bowl. Well, Eagles fans might not like this, but the offense under Brian Johnson was a lot more successful. They points per game, 25.5. Right now, 23.4. Yards per game, 389 compared to 303. Passing, 225 compared to 193. Rushing, 128.8 compared to 110. And then they ended up losing in the wild card. Another thing that was the big difference though, Jalen Hurts that year had his career high interceptions with 15 interceptions. So was not taking care of the ball, and I think red zone efficiency was down. This year, the difference is their statistics are all down offensively compared to Brian Johnson's year. But Jalen Hurts is taking care of the ball. He's not turning over the ball, and their red zone efficiency is the top in the league. So that is the drastic difference of what 2023 to now. And that is alarming, though. You know, it just shows if Jalen Hurts wasn't taking care of the ball like he is, they'd be in a world of hurt right now. And I know a lot of people are like, is this the quarterback? Is this the OC? Everyone's involved. But I will say Jalen Hurts protecting the ball, even though it's boring, even though it's causing frustration with the receivers, as a quarterback, you have to, handle that weight on your shoulders like he is. That's a big reason they're having success. But going forward, yeah, I mean, the way to fix this, I mean, it's training camp, it's OTAs, it's the bye week. All those things right there that I circle on my paper right here have passed. It is really hard at this point to fix your issues because it means a whole different scheme and adding in shifts and motions and play calling and screens and more creativity. We've talked about the route tree with the receivers, with A.J. Brown specifically. His route tree with Kellen Moore was all over the place. Deep crosses, post corners. It's just if you put it on a piece of paper, it's boom, 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 all over the place. Right now, there's a lot of – it's just like one side of the field, like stops, post, slant, hitch, out. There's nothing dynamic about it, and that's causing issues. And you talk about the run game. To have a great run game, you have to have creativity, but you have to be a threat to pass the ball. And then to be a great passing attack, you have to have the threat to run. You need to have a threat. Doesn't mean you have to be balanced. It just means you have to have a threat. Yeah, and right now there's not really a threat of either right now. They're inconsistent. I just went through the statistics compared to 2023 under Brian Johnson, who got a lot of flack that year. They're all below that. So there's a lot of issues there. They're still a great team, though. I mean, defense is solid. Special teams, offense just has been holding them back. And I think the injuries on the O-line, I mean, the statistics when Lane Johnson's out, I mean, Jalen Hurts has a lot of trouble when Lane Johnson. I know, okay, we're talking about this year. For me personally, when I played, whenever our O-line was banged up, whenever like a Lane was out or Jason Peters or whoever it may be was out, it affects you as a quarterback because your time, your confidence is a little lower. Though you trust those guys are some of the best in the league. And when they're not in there, it does change the game plan. It does change the way you are now having the back help that right tackle, whereas Lane Johnson usually doesn't need help. So schematically, it does change things for them. And there is no clear-cut answer. If I had the answer, they probably would have called me and be like, Nick, come out to Philadelphia and help. I know the comments. Like, Nick, listen, these guys have been coaching for a long time. They know what they're doing. Stout knows what they're doing. Petula's been there. They're going to constantly be figuring out how to fix it. I don't know if there is an answer how to fix a scheme in the middle of a season without – they should have already done it. They're just going to have to survive with what they have. And I honestly can't tell you what they're going to do the rest of the year. It's just been the more of the same every single week. And the more film they put out with this style of offense, the more defensive personnel get to see it, the more they're going to attack this offense and make it really difficult if this offense doesn't change to succeed. You might need your mic back now.
Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay. Can the internet idiots are that he's done. Okay. So then I have another question. I am surprised. Everything you're saying makes sense, but Stoutland is an alpha type. I've been in a room with him in 2013 when I was there, 2012, and Stoutland takes a lot of pride in what he does. He's the run game coordinator. He conducts traffic for the offensive line, teaches those guys how to do it. He kind of schemes up the run game. I just get the sense that Mike's his first name, right?
Jeff,
sorry. that Jeff is like going in and talking to Nick as they go through this stuff and try to figure out the issues. Because like this is unacceptable to Jeff, that the offensive line and the run game is not where he knows it should be. I almost get this. I can almost hear Jeff sitting in front of Nick saying, I'm not my run game and what's going on is unacceptable. The lack of rhythm and play calling is not going to screw up my run game. This is the way it's going to get done. I can almost see Jeff doing that, right? Because yes, we're not throwing it like we want to and all that, but the fact they're not running the ball, I got to believe is keeping him up at night and really pisses him off.
Yeah.
Because this is on his resume.
Yeah.
And we don't even talk about it enough. Like Jeff designs the run game.
Yeah.
In fact, oftentimes Kevin probably goes, okay, let's run it, Jeff. What do you want to do? And Jeff goes through his Rolodex of run plays and then calls the run play.
Yeah.
It's not working. So if Jeff's got a problem with what Kevin Patullo's doing from a rhythm standpoint, Jeff is going to be extra pissed off because we know what Jeff is capable of as a coach. We don't know what Kevin Patullo is capable of, right? So that dynamic to me, I would love to be behind closed doors and hear what Jeff is. I'm not saying he's throwing Kevin under the bus, to be very clear, but I would love to hear what Jeff is saying to Nick about what we can do as a team to fix this, because Jeff's role in play calling is big. It's not just Kevin. And Jeff is a fantastic football coach. I got to believe he's in Nick's office, not behind Kevin's back. I'm not saying there's a culture issue there, but Jeff's got to be doing whatever he can to fix it. And I am just super interested to know where Jeff is at with all this.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Stoutland's one of the best O-line coaches in the world in the history of the NFL.
That's why I asked.
Yeah, one of my favorite coaches to play for. The intensity in meetings and what he demands of his players, not only on the practice field but in the meeting room, is very impressive. And I always got a lot out of it. Love playing for him. Loved him as my coach throughout my career. Had him in 2013 with Chip Kelly, and then got to have him again when I came back. And I was always so grateful to have an O-line coach. You want a great O-line coach. And throughout my career, I've had some really good ones. I've also had some ones that weren't really good. And Jeff is the best. But that being said, I think the only way to fix this is this. So you know how it is. You got the run game coordinator. Jeff and his staff, or his run game, they're preparing the rush attack. They're going to, Kevin Patullo and Nick Sirianni dropping the paper on their desk and saying, hey, here's the run. This is what good run plays look like this week, the formations, whatever it may be. And then the passing game side is then going to Kevin, and Kevin's a part of it, and Nick Sirianni, and then dropping that down and saying, hey, here's our passing game. They might not marry each other because, that's up to Kevin to put it together. So my recommendation.
But is Jeff really going to allow that?
No,
they don't marry each other. Jeff, I can see Jeff beating down his door and being like, figure this out.
And that my point is this, and this might be what they're doing, it might not be, and it's sort of different because you don't have a lot of time. I mean, these coaches are constantly working. I have so much respect. They are there so many hours. They barely sleep. But just sitting in a room and just switching things up and just being like, listen, let's together, run game coordinating, pass game coordinating, head coach, OC, whatever there is, we're sitting in a room, let's go through this, let's build this all at once together. Not normal because there's not a lot of time, but maybe your game plan becomes more simplistic, but it's more intentional. And it marries each other and everything works together. And you're running, you're play action, you're bootlegging, you're doing all your stuff out of rush. Everything looks similar to keep the defense on their heels. You have planned cadence attacks. You have all these different things. You talk to the O-line. Sometimes in games, I remember in 2018 we were playing the Bears. And the Bears came out in nickel. We thought they'd be in base, and we had a run play called. And Stefan Wisniewski and Jason Kelsey in the middle of a play is like, Nick, we can't run this play. And I'm more focused on execution, running. I have my rules. I focus on what they know more about that than I do. I'm focused more on the pass game, coverage recognition, stuff like that, making my guys line. I'm like, what do you guys need? Hey, we need 95 whack right now. You got to get, I'm like, well, we're not, hey, can you build it for us? And I got 15 seconds. Hey, Zach, get over to the right. Hey, we're going whack, whack, whack. Hey, Lexus whack. Boom, gash. And I could tell on the sidelines, the coaches were rattled because the Bears defense came out in something that we did not expect. And even on the sidelines, the coach would be like, hey, if they do this and we call this play, you have to audible. I'm like, what do I audible? Just to a pass play. Well, what protection? Whatever you want. What concept? Whatever you want. I'm like, well, guys, that means that if they do this, it's all on me, and we did all this prep. But what was great about that team was we were fine. Everyone calmed down. But while on the field, I went to my guys. Hey, what do you need? Hey, we need whack. I got you.
Are they missing that leader on the offensive line to say we need whack? I know Kelsey's not there.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
Are they missing that leader maybe?
I can't speak on it because I'm not in the building. But that's the thing about great teams is even like we talked about the Nelson big throw against the Houston. One of my favorite plays of my career is I think it was my longest touchdown. That was supposed to be a 5-yard completion, a first down, stay within the chains. But based on my coverage recognition and what we were planning on third down, they gave us a 4 mini coverage on first down. I'm like, I'm going to take advantage because we're in a 3-by-1 form. So I just switched 2 guys, boom, 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 real quick, got the ball off, dropped back, stepped up, took advantage. That's where I don't know if they do that. They're probably running, just calling plays, running it. You got to have a little bit of freedom.
So,
right now, if I'm Jalen Hurts, as a quarterback, it's great to take play calls, but I'm also like looking for opportune moments. And I'm telling the O-line, hey guys, I always ask the guys, what run plays does the O-line like? What do you like in this game? You know, there was even, I'll go back, storytelling. I like storytelling. I think our listeners will like storytelling. There was even a time, LA Rams 2018, we're running wham where you're letting the defensive tackle front side go. It was Aaron Donald. We're not blocking him. The tight end's coming in, nailing him, but he's
trap a little bit.
It's a trap. But it's sort of a scary play because Aaron Donald's lined up right over me. And I told the coaches during the week, I'm like, hey, aren't we worried about Aaron Donald like getting off the ball and like tackling me before like I take my first step? No, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. And I remember thinking like we ran it once and I tried to, and he was right. He literally grabbed my ankles as I was handing off the ball. We called the play again. And I said, heck no. I was like, I got the play. I got the headset. It was Trips Right Bunch. Hey, we're going to go 94 wham. I'm like, heck no. I get in the huddle. I go, hey, we're going trips right. We're going to go jab 92 rub. I ain't doing this wham crap anymore.
This is not normal, by the way.
No. There was times in the game I would get a play call and I'd be like, heck, and it was only a few times, and I'd just be like, heck no, I ain't running that play. And I get in the huddle and be like, y'all go with jab rub. I don't like the wham. They'd be like, we love it. Let's go. Jab rub, 20-yard gain out the back end.
What year was this?
This was 18. This was the first game back where we were 3% chance. Now, I trusted my coach, but listen, coaches are human beings. They don't always make the play. There was times where even when I ran over the Philly special, I'm like, man, we don't know. Like, this play sounds good. We were going to run Speedo left. That ain't the play. Doug was trying to search for a play. He's on the headset trying to search for a play. I'm like, listen, if y'all are going to be, if we're going to be dumb right now, we're going to do a little something crazy. Let's go do the Philly special. Let's do something that no one expects. So I would like, and I don't know, once again, I am not in the building, and I do not try. There are media people out there that try to get inside sources within organization. I have been out to eat with Eagles players, and I will not ask him those questions because I do not want to go on the show
That's insider stuff.
with insider stuff. And that's where people make a living. Because I was a player, I know how that goes. I want to speak on what I see, and if I'm not within it, I can't speak on it. So like Jalen Hurts, I do not know this, but what I would recommend is, in the huddle, if there's games going on like talk to your guys. What do you like? I'm talking the receivers. Listen, receivers are always going to say a play that you have to take with a grain of salt because they want the ball. But sometimes there's going to be a gem in there like, it's actually a good play call. I mean, even Jason Peters one year, but man, what about that wide throwback? And it's JP. I'm like, coach, I went to Doug. I'm like, hey, JP wants wide throwback. You don't have to do it, but Jason wants it. Yeah. Let me know if you want it. He's watching me right now. Walk over to you to ask for wide throwback. It's up to you. There's times that players know what will work. So this is now turned into, with where their offense is right now, a figure this out by committee. Players, coaches, everyone sitting down. Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, Cam Jurgens, Lane Johnson, Jeff Stoutland, Kevin Patullo, Nick Sirianni, everyone get in a dang room, an offensive room, and say, who are we? What do we want to be? And figure this thing out. Because if we keep going out there day in and day out and doing what you're doing, you're going to get beat. Your defense is holding you together. Your offense is playing. It's not good, but the personnel and the players, and I know the guys in that building, I know the culture, they have it all there to do amazing things. And thank goodness Jalen Hurts is protecting the ball because they're in a good position right now. But let's all humble ourselves. Let's leave our ego at the door, and let's go do this by committee and figure. If they do that, they will literally start blowing the brakes off the points and everything. But it's going to be a by committee, a team coming together and creating a moment for them instead of like constantly like, oh, I'm upset that this, AJ Brown talking about this, Jalen Hurts trying to deflect that, Nick Sirianni, do it together, figure it out. That's what great teams do. And then Jalen Hurts, if you don't like the play, do an audible. If it doesn't work, who cares? Show ownership that you're going to audible the play, even if if you call a play and you don't think it's good on 3rd and 2, get under center, bring the formation in, run a QB sneak, run a run to Saquon, switch it up, have fun. I mean, there was times where I was like, you know what? Like, this isn't working. Let me try to give something. Let me try to give some energy. And you guys have the culture. If you're on a bad team, it's tough. You're on a good team. Guys are going to buy into it and love it. Defense is getting fired up. Offense will get fired up because now you have ownership and it becomes something special. I see all that, and that's just, I'm specifically talking about Philadelphia, what I know in that locker room, what I know in the culture from the past, what they've shown. They're Super Bowl defending champs. They have the ability. Take a little bit of pressure off Kevin Patullo. This is his first year calling plays. Everyone is out for him. The guy is handling himself. This is his first year. It's hard to be an OC. You're defending Super Bowl champs. Let's help him out. Let's do it together.
Boy, am I glad I asked that question.
Yeah.
I think it's the best segment we've had on the season. That was fantastic.
We'll cut it up on YouTube
And
for y'all
look,
to
what
listen to.
you're saying too is like it's not insubordination. So like an example in the Green Bay game, there was a report that like they had gone rogue and taken a shot to AJ Brown. Now, granted, that was on 4th down and ended up giving the ball to the Packers
It was
close
like 4th
to
and
midfield.
5
So
or
that was a
something.
little risky, but that people made a big deal about that. What, you did something you weren't supposed to do, and like what you're getting at here is like, look, Jalen Hurts is a Super Bowl MVP. He's built up enough equity in the organization to say like, hey, we trust your judgment, right? So I think that's why Nick backed him, Nick Sirianni, and said like, no. What he did, we were comfortable with. It was built within the play, right? What you're getting at is like, hey, when you have a team of veterans that have won championships, like you've reached a point as a team where you need to rely on those guys' feedback. You need to rely on their instincts on what's going to work because coaches aren't on the field. And coaches also don't know what every player is comfortable with from a scheme standpoint in the moment, right? And so what you're hitting at is like, hey, good teams need to make those tweaks on the field, and coaches need to be okay with it. This is not high school football. This is the NFL.
Yeah.
You're dealing with professionals that are basically saying like, coach, I love your thought. This is what we're going to do on this play, and I guarantee it's going to get us 10 yards.
Yeah.
And then you run it, and the coach is like, well, I guess we're dealing with a bunch of pros here, right?
Listen, the plays, great coaches will say this. Plays are great, but players are the ones that bring the plays to life. I mean, once again, this is going to be a storytelling segment.
I'm going
This
home,
is
dude.
insane.
No, I'm going to go to Chicago Bears, Seattle Seahawks. I get told on Friday I'm playing. We have a game-winning drive in the snow in Seattle to win the game. I had one practice with the starters the entire year. My speech in the huddle was, listen, we're going to call simple, crappy plays. That's what we're going to do. Like, this has been a rough year. We all know it. This is on the field. Listen, we all know this has been tough. Like, we know, like, plays have sucked, this and that. But we're going to call these simple plays that we've run over and over again. They haven't worked. But why don't we just bring them to life one time? Just this drive. Do something special. Make them come to life. And I'm going to throw you the ball. O-line, give me like half second longer. And I will stand in there and I will deliver the ball. Receivers, tight ends, make plays. Do something special. Bring these plays to life. Coaches are calling these plays. Let's give them life. Plays aren't what work. It's the players running the plays that bring them to life. We march right down the field, win the game. We have a big touchdown, and then we have a 2-point conversion where our receiver just does something different that I'm not expecting, but is wide open. I find him late. Everyone's like, why'd you throw it late? He was supposed to run a corner route, but he stopped and went the other way, and boom. We brought plays to life. And that's what you have to do. And that wasn't even on a great team. Whereas the Eagles, like, you got to take ownership in the plays, bring them to life. Don't just run the plays. Like, bring them to life. Do something special. Finish them. Do something more on your route. They can do it by committee. That's the key. They're a great team. This isn't the New York Jets the New York Jets should not do this. Like, you have to prove to your coaches and your players that you have this ability. I believe that the players within the locker room for the Philadelphia Eagles have earned the right to just get together. And I'm sure they're already doing this, but like, let's build this thing together.
Every struggling offense with championship pedigree especially, but also just good veteran players that you trust, every struggling offense in football should play the segment that we just had and the comments you made. When I asked about Stoutland and him affecting Patullo and basically putting his foot down, saying that I had no idea this is the direction you would go. And it is a whole new, you turned over a whole new rock for the conversation that is just like, it makes it, I never played on a team that had that kind of leeway, so to speak. And that's fascinating on so many levels, Nick. That was awesome. Really good. I mean, the rest of the show is going to be boring compared to that. But stick with us here.
Two simple thoughts. There's teams that finger point, and this isn't life. This is like dealing with business or whatever. There's finger pointing people or organizations or teams, and there's problem solving. There's two different perspectives. Which one? I mean, every person who listens to this can say, man, do I instantly, when something bad goes happen, want to blame someone else? Or do I say, man, what can I do to fix this problem? How can I humble myself and look at myself and be like, how can I be better? And what can I bring? I love people who come to the table as opposed to like, it's easy to go, I'm not getting the ball. You're blaming someone and just finger point because you're deflecting it from you and you think you're protecting yourself, but you're taking away like onus on yourself and leadership from yourself. Or going in there and be like, I always like, hey, what's a way to solve this problem? And just throw it out there. Like, what if we met together? So two things for listeners to listen to in life and football. If you're the Eagles, if you're a team, are you a finger pointer or are you a problem solver? That's my last point. My brain.
We get this guy in the NovaCare Center and talk about this to the team. John, where are we at right now in the show, time-wise?
59 minutes and 42 seconds.
It's right where we want to be, baby. Right where we want to be.
Sorry about that.
No,
Colby.
I'll cut a meaningless segment for that. That was fantastic.
That was brilliant.
Okay. That was really good, Nick. Let's hit MVP real quick.
Yeah.
This has quickly become, quick update for folks. We hit this every couple of weeks. It's become a two-man race right now for the season, barring Jonathan Taylor doing something extraordinary the last few weeks. Because Jonathan Taylor's third in MVP odds right now, but he's a long shot now. The two obvious choices are the quarterback of the Rams, which is arguably the best team in the league right now, Matt Stafford at minus 235, and Drake May at plus 200. So there's a big gap between them betting-wise as far as the odds of them winning. Jonathan Taylor falls to like plus 1,800, then Mahomes at plus 2,000. So it's really a two-man race right now. And it's hard to – those two teams probably won't collapse, so it's hard to see anything happening beyond those two guys. I mean, not too long ago, a few weeks ago, it was Josh Allen and Mahomes. And now it's Matt Stafford and Drake May. Stafford has 30 touchdowns, 2 interceptions in his 17th year, 308 consecutive pass attempts without a touchdown. Without an interception, 308 consecutive pass attempts. No interception since week 3 against Philly.
It's unbelievable.
All right, we're heading into week 13. He hasn't thrown a touchdown or an interception since week 3. He's got 27 straight touchdowns without a pick. It's the longest streak ever recorded. He leads the NFL in quarterback rating, touchdown passes, and he's 5th in passing yards. Drake May, on the other hand, is the leader of the NFL's first team to win 10 games. They've won 9 games in a row. He leads the league in pass yards with 3,130 already through 12 weeks. He's number 3 in QBR. He's number 1. This is wild. Number 1 in completion percentage at 71%. So he's leading the league in passing, and he leads the league in completion percentage. That is something. And he's obviously got the narrative behind him of an incredible turnaround for New England. New England was 4-13 the last 2 seasons. Each of the last 2 years, 4-13. And right now they're 10-2 and in charge of the NFC East. Now their schedule has not been very difficult. But what's interesting about Drake May and why I bring this up, they're about to see some adversity, the New England Patriots. They have not had the most difficult schedule. And now he's got 2 offensive linemen. Left tackle Will Campbell may see IR with a knee injury. And left guard Jared Wilson. Both these guys are rookies, by the way. 3rd round pick, Jared Wilson. 1st round pick, Will Campbell. Left guard Jared Wilson, I think it's an ankle, is probably going to miss some time. Now, they've had the same offensive line in 11 of 12 games this year, and they're about to see some adversity up front. One interesting stat, it's amazing to think a young player like Drake May, it's amazing to think how well he's played given he's been sacked 37 times this year, even with a healthy offensive line. That's number 3 in the league in sacks after Cam Ward and Geno Smith, 2 guys that are struggling because Cam Ward holds on to the ball a lot. That's a big reason he gets sacked a lot. But Drake May's been sacked 37 times, 3rd most in the league. And this offensive line is going to take a hit. They're going to lose 2 key players, and they're going to see Buffalo and Baltimore late in the season as well. Those are good showcase games for him. So I would say for the Rams, the meat of their schedule they've already gotten through, and Stafford is just like continuing to ascend. Drake May has been on this ascent the whole year. Now they're about to see some adversity. So we'll see where this goes for Dre. My money would probably be on Matthew Stafford to win it because of how well he's playing. His team is unbelievably good, and he's got a great coach. And then again, so does Drake May. Good team, Mike Vrabel, Josh McDaniels. Those guys do a really good job calling plays. But it's going to get interesting for Drake May. But what a cool MVP race. No one saw this one coming. Matt Stafford, who doesn't even play in the preseason because his back was hurt. And Drake May going into his 2nd year with a new head coach. We thought maybe a couple years away. I mean, the kid's arrived.
Yeah.
He's 2nd in MVP voting. It's a 2-man race.
No, it's awesome to see. I mean, I think Matthew Stafford with it, and it's not a career award, but like just what he's done throughout his career. And then to do it this year, I mean, if he keeps going this, he's the MVP. He deserves it with his career work and what he's done throughout the league. It would just be a great stamp at the end of his career to win an NFL MVP award like at the end. So, and then Mike Vrabel and, Josh McDaniels and their staff and what they've done with Drake May is truly amazing. I know from Patriot, I have buddies who are Patriots fans, and you would think they haven't won a Super Bowl in like 30 years with how sad they've been. They're like, oh, we're just so bad. It's like, y'all won so many Super Bowls with Tom Brady. It's okay. You're going to have a couple down years, but you get a legend and Mike Vrabel back in your building that was a player there, and caught 6 touchdowns as a dual threat defense, offensive guy, and just brings that mentality. Looks like he's having fun. Josh McDaniels is having fun with Drake May. It's a healthy situation for them. Josh McDaniels is going to be there. He's not going to go be a head coach again.
Yeah.
They've tried that road. He's not going to do that. So they are going to be stable for a while because he's just going to be there. Josh McDaniels, Drake May, that's going to be the 2 guys that are going to be there for a while. And it's exciting to watch, but I do think there's a test, but they also have a bye coming up.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I do think the New York Giants with Jameis Winston, who I love, and I think he's playing great, are going to give them a good test on Monday Night Football in New England, but then they get a bye. And then they got Buffalo, Baltimore, which those are 2 tough games, but then they go play the Jets.
Yeah.
And then they play the Dolphins.
Yeah.
So it's actually like a reasonable schedule, and Lamar Jackson's not playing great.
Well, because their defense, their schedule has been, we knew going into the season it was going to be favorable. And,
Yeah.
and it's turned out to be favorable.
Yep.
On that note, as we head into Thanksgiving football and a great Thanksgiving weekend of football, let's take a quick look at the playoff picture. Let's start with the AFC. So right now, the top 4 seeds are as follows, if the playoffs were to start today. Patriots at 10-2. Broncos 9-2 as the 2 seed. Colts 8-3. Ravens 6-5 have now gotten back into the playoff picture after starting 1-5. They've won 5 in a row. We thought they'd win 7 in a row, and they've won 5 of those 7. They have 2 more to go still to win. They're still not even playing great ball. Lamar doesn't seem healthy to me. We'll get to that in a sec. But here are the wild card teams, seeds 5 through 7. Chargers at 7-4, and this is tenuous for all of these teams. These teams have to stay on it, otherwise they could find themselves on the outside looking in. Chargers at 7-4, the 5 seed. Jags 7-4, Bills 7-4. Those are your wild card teams. Here are the teams in the hunt for the AFC. Steelers at 6-5. Aaron Rodgers status unknown. Texans 6-5. Can the defense continue to carry them? Chiefs 6-5. Okay, so those wild card teams in the AFC, Chargers, Jags, Bills, they've got the Steelers, Texans, and Chiefs right on their heels. So the AFC is going to get very interesting down the stretch. Patriots haven't lost in 2 months. We know what Denver is. Colts had a tough loss, but they're still 8-3. Ravens have won 5 straight, but Lamar is not right. Here's Lamar's last 3 starts. He's 57% as a passer, 1 touchdown pass, 2 interceptions, sacked 7 times. So I know they're winning. Part of that's their schedule's favorable. They're back in the playoff picture. Defense is playing better, but they're out of rhythm offensively. Something's not right. Lamar's not running as much. Something isn't right offensively, and they've got to get him right. The Jags are the 6th seed. Trevor Lawrence has been very up and down. 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions last week. I mean, they're finding ways to win. They're in the mix, but they're dicey. And the Bills have lost 3 of their last 4 road games, and they've got road games left on their schedule. So they're going to have to, and they have to stop the run. What in the AFC, like anything jump out at you of like, and the Chiefs got to fix their run game as well, I think, to really get over the top. But anything in the AFC jump out as you, especially for wild card, like do the Chargers bounce out? Do the Jags bounce out? Who gets in? Between the wild card teams and the teams that are in the hunt, does anything jump out at you?
No, I think the big thing is the Ravens and the Steelers. I just when I look at this list, I'm just that's where I'm most curious. I do agree. Lamar Jackson definitely, hamstring, stuff like that. That lingers for a little while, and you don't want to risk anything with that. And then the Steelers, when will Aaron Rodgers? I know he's limited in practice this week, potential availability because it's a left wrist. But that's the things that sort of stand out to me. But those are a lot of great teams. It's really interesting. And then the top teams, Pats are trending up, Broncos trending up, Colts, in my opinion, trending down, Ravens trending down. So it's going to be fun to watch. Got a lot of great teams going for spots. It's going to be fun last part of the season.
I think the one question for Denver, and this doesn't even take a lot of elaboration necessarily, the one question for Denver is Bo Nix good enough? Yep. Right? Their defense is good. They've won 5 straight. Oh, excuse me. I read the wrong team. They've lost the turnover battle in 5 of 9 victories this year. No other team has more than 2 wins like that this year. You lose a turnover battle in the NFL, you generally lose. But Denver's winning more than they're losing while losing the turnover battle, which is wild. They're a very tough team that should win their division, but down the stretch in the playoffs in key moments, is Bo Nix good enough? Bo Nix is good. Like, I'm not saying he's a legit starter franchise guy. Is he good enough to take them over the top? He's got to prove that down the stretch.
And my one point with Bo Nix that I do like, the positive part of Bo Nix is fourth quarter comebacks, fourth quarter having moments. I'd rather have a quarterback that, is trying to figure out in fourth quarter, puts it together and gives you a chance to win. Your team knows that. They've created that. They've shown that. Whereas quarterback that sort of fall. We talked about Daniel Jones at the end of the game having an opportunity. You have two different quarterbacks: a guy that's been doing really well, but when the moment's on the line, isn't coming through. And then you got a guy in Bo Nix that makes plays at the end and is giving you a chance, even though, like you said, statistically, it's impressive where they're at.
They're the best team in the league in the fourth quarter. Bears are right there as well, but it feels a little different with Denver because the Bears, I would say, do it even differently. Here's a quick note on the Steelers at 6-5, with Aaron having a fractured left wrist, but probably coming back soon. So everybody makes a lot about the Steelers having 21 seasons straight of not having a losing season, so 500 or better in 21 straight seasons. Tomlin has been there for 19 of them since 2007, but they have not won a playoff game for 8 years. That's the bigger stat. So, you might get, I think Steelers fans are tired of hearing like 21 straight non-losing seasons. They're like, and here's why I don't think why Steelers fans, I don't think they know why they were tired of hearing it. Here's why. I read the stat the other day. In 21 years, over that period of them having nothing but non-losing seasons, 60 teams in the NFL have been 500 or better and missed the playoffs. Okay, so what that tells me, that stat alone basically says is, hey, being 500 or better is just not good enough. And most organizations by now, Green Bay, New England, the elite winning organizations by now would have already moved on from Tomlin. And I'm not saying the Steelers aren't an elite winning organization, but they're a little more patient. That's obvious, right? But in 21 years, when the Steelers have not had a losing season, there's been 59 other teams that have been like, yeah, we had a non-losing season. We didn't even make the playoffs. So the key for Tomlin is to win. And I kind of wonder for the Steelers if face planting, and I'm not saying it's going to happen this year, but like basically bottoming out, not making the playoffs, and resetting is something they need. I like what Aaron has done, but Aaron's not the quarterback of the future. Aaron's year to year at this point.
They need to find that.
Right? They need to find that.
Is it Will
guy,
Howard?
right?
I don't know.
Ever since Ben Roethlisberger, they haven't taken that position seriously enough. And so they have to find that, and it might take a year where they don't make the playoffs, get a higher pick, and find a way to use draft capital to get up and get the right guy. Even if Aaron starts next year, they need that guy moving forward, and they don't have it. And so saying they've had 21 straight years of non-losing seasons, I think falls on deaf ears with Steelers fans, and it obviously doesn't mean a whole lot because they haven't won a playoff game in 8 years. I doubt it's going to change this year. Probably won't make the playoffs, but it's dicey. We'll see, especially with Steelers or Texans, Chiefs, those all Chargers, Bills, Jags, all being wild card teams or in the hunt, might edge them out based on those teams being a little more complete than the Steelers are. So do they need a bottoming out and a reset? I don't know. It's a very respected historical franchise. And at this point, saying that we haven't had a losing season in 21 years, I think falls on deaf ears. I think Steelers fans would rather have dip and then have like that high point rather than be mediocre for 21 years.
Yeah, and
every fan base would, right?
Mind you, they won it back the 2009 season. They beat Arizona 27-23, and their quarterback for most of that time was Ben Roethlisberger, who just made plays left and right. So when you got a quarterback of that caliber, you probably are going to be over 500. So they got to find it. It'll be an interesting offseason if they don't make the playoffs. They do need to find the quarterback of the future. They do have a national championship quarterback on the roster that hasn't played this year, Will Howard. That's always intriguing me because he knows how to win. He's won. But you just don't know. Yeah, you just don't know. So, do you play him too? Like you're playing Mason Rudolph. Like, do you just throw like him out there? I know they're trying to vie for a spot, but you also like maybe he brings a spark. Maybe he has a little something. The guy had a successful college career, won a national championship. It was at Ohio State that was loaded, but there's a lot of intrigue there. But I do agree with you where I do think the story of being over 500, very impressive. Mike Tomlin's done really
500 or better.
500 or better. Yeah. Really, that's hard to do. But I agree with you. They want that.
Mediocre.
Yeah, they want to be better. Mediocre.
They're not bad, but they're also not good.
And that is one of the greatest fan bases on the face of the earth.
Right.
They travel better than
Surprised they haven't been. I mean, I think your average Steeler fan, you put him here right now being like, I hate that stat. Shut up. Don't say it. We want to start winning playoff games and competing for titles.
No doubt.
And it probably is going to take a reset. In a funny way in the NFL, a league that's built for parity, if you're always just kind of like solid, it's really hard to like spike. You almost need to be pretty bad for a year or two. For a reset, because the league is built to then say, okay, you need help. Here's draft picks. Yeah. Here's room. Here's free agency. All that stuff. And I think the Steelers could probably use that. We'll see how it ends up for them, but they may be going that route. We'll see. All right, let's go NFC. So here are your top 4 seeds as of today. Rams, probably the best team in football at 9-2. Eagles 8-3 is the 2 seed. Bears 8-3. My God, did we think we'd be saying that? Bucks 6-5. Those are your 1 through 4 seeds. The Bucks are on a slide. The offense has basically become invisible. They were 5-1. They're 6-5, right? They were
Yeah.
5-1. Now they're 6-5.
Baker Mayfield AC joint sprain in his left shoulder. That's painful.
Painful. And their offense has evaporated. And I'm not sure. They just got destroyed against the Rams on Sunday Night Football. I'm not sure where it goes here for them. Here are your wild card teams. Seahawks at 8-3, still play the Rams. It's going to be good on December 18th. Packers at 7-3-1, and the Niners. Man, hat tip to the Niners. They are just hanging in there at 8-4. Those are your wild card teams. Here are the teams on the outside looking in that are in the hunt. Lions. This is super competitive. Lions at 7-4. Play the Packers tomorrow on Thanksgiving. Panthers 6-6 now after losing to the Niners. Cowboys, a dangerous 5-5-1 team whose defense has remarkably improved. And we all know what their offense is capable of. Okay, so the Rams have won 6 straight. They're 6-2 against playoff teams. They are a fantastic football team. We've talked a bunch about the Eagles. The Bears are 6-1 in games decided by 5 points or less. But they have a minus 3-point differential on the season, which is mind-blowing. They're 8-3, and their opponents have scored 3 more points than they have on the entire season. I mean, that's like unheard of. And they still play at the Eagles, at the Packers, and against the Browns. The Bucs have lost 4 out of 5, including 3 straight. Offense has evaporated. Seahawks have another game against the Rams. Packers have won 2 straight. This is going to be – the Niners keep exceeding expectations given the injuries, but they'll continue to improve down the stretch. But here's the Niners issue. They're 2-4 against teams with winning records this year and 6-0 against everybody else. So they haven't been very good. They have not been very good against teams that are good. And they finish with at Cleveland, against Tennessee, should win both those, at Indy, home against Chicago, home against Seattle. Purdy has got to clean things up. 3 bad interceptions. I don't know. He's not totally healthy either. He's not driving the ball down the field. But as far as like, and this one I'm going to include the Bears at 8-3. And then you look at the wild card teams, the Hawks, the Packers, the Niners, and then the teams in the hunt, Lions, Panthers, Cowboys. Anybody fall out, jump in? What jumps out at you?
Yeah. So I just have like a trending in my mind. You know, Rams trending up, Eagles trending down, Bears trending up. To me, the Eagles versus Bears is a defining moment for both teams this season.
Big one.
And we'll talk about that when we get to the picks. But Bucks, big trending down, especially with how they're playing. Baker Mayfield left AC joint sprain. It was great on the MRI and everything, but I know with playing with AC joint sprains, it is a pain in the butt to do that. It hurts to wipe your butt with the AC joint sprain. The Seattle Seahawks, I got them trending up. Packers, you know, I have them staying about the same. I just don't know with LaFleur as the head coach if they have the ability to get it done. I don't know if it's something with his personality or what it may be, but I just don't know if they're going to get over that hump and be a really aggressive team going forward. 49ers, like you said, beating bad teams. It looks like based on the rest of their schedule, I'm predicting a 10-7 finish. Don't know if that'll be enough. Lions are, you know, I'd say they're staying the same right now. I don't have trending up, trending down. Panthers are trending up. They have been a surprise team for me this year. And then I got a double arrow trending up on the Dallas Cowboys. We talked about it the last couple of weeks just watching Dallas and then beating Philadelphia the way they did, where they're down and continue to believe in one another, coming back at the end, creating chaos, creating turnovers. One of my favorite plays of the Dallas Cowboy-Philadelphia Eagles game, and this is just from a fan standpoint, was the special teams gunner play. Every kid should watch that. Every coach should watch that, where the guy gets, you know, knocked down, spins up, goes, runs across the field, makes the tackle, fumble. Dallas gets the recovery. So I have Dallas trending up. I do think this is there's going to be a lot of changes going on. I think one of the most defining moments of the season coming up for both teams of the Eagles and Bears is coming up this Friday. It's going to be a fantastic game at the Link. But the NFC picture is going to change quite a bit, in my opinion.
Love it. All right, so we're going to get into our picks here, but let's go. I'm gonna kind of pull out Chicago and Philly to start the pick segment.
I didn't get my statistics that I put together for the Chiefs.
We're gonna get there.
Okay, we're getting there.
I
got all my statistics that I did before the show. Okay, good.
I'm going a little backwards. I'm going to jump to Friday on picks, and then we're going to come back to Thanksgiving games.
Okay,
good. So I want to start with Chicago and Philly. Philly is a 7-point favorite as of now at home.
Ooh, it's a lot of points.
Coming off the Dallas loss. Simply put, like, Vegas hates the Bears. Why? They're a 7-point dog on the road against a team that has struggled to run it and is very stagnant offensively. So you might say, well, Evan, but Philly's going to beat the Bears. Yeah, you might be right. But a 7-point favorite? If you look at the other 7-point favorites and 7-point dogs for that matter this year so far, there's like glaring differences between the two teams. And so this line seems pretty big, considering Bears are 6-1 in close games. The Bears have keep these things in mind. The Bears have the minus 3-point differential, which I've hit many times. The Bears are plus 16 in the turnover margin. That's number 1 in football. And they're the number 2 team in the league in rushing. That style of play, like taking the ball away and running, generally travels pretty well. Like that's why they've done pretty well on the road overall, because it travels well, right? But it's easy to see why people doubt them and why Vegas doubts them. 3 of the last 4 wins have been decided in the final minute of the game, and those were against teams that have had injuries to their starting quarterback. Okay, that's not the case with the Eagles, right? Like Jalen Hurts is healthy, ready to roll. The last time an 8-3 team was a touchdown underdog was in 2021, when the 8-3 Titans were a 7.5-point dog against the Patriots, and the Patriots won that game 36-13. So this game screams like, oh, the Eagles don't score enough, you should jump on the Bears. Well, the books, again, don't like the Bears. They don't think it's sustainable. And they think the Bears are going to struggle in this game. And here's another big reason. The Eagles generally don't turn the ball over. And the Bears rely on that a lot.
They feed off the
right?
turnovers.
The Bears rely on that a ton. So do we doubt them? We talked a lot about getting Saquon going. Saquon historically gets better as the year goes on. This is a different team this year, but his best games are like late November, December. That's how Saquon rolls. It's how he's rolled his whole career. So this is a 7-point line at the link. Bears rely on running the ball, taking the ball away, and winning late. Eagles, on the other hand, don't turn it over. Pretty good job stopping the run. How do you think this plays out for Philly?
Yeah, I mean, I was just looking at, Philadelphia is averaging 23.4 points a game. Chicago's averaging 22.8. So pretty tight. That's only less than a point difference. I go back to culture. I go back to what I said. We had a large segment on Philadelphia in this episode, which will probably make its own standalone episode because there was a lot there. I just know Philadelphia link Friday, Thanksgiving, fans, holiday weekend, all these different things. It's going to be hard for the Bears in the link. It's going to be really hard to function. They're going to feel it. It's a little bit shorter of a week. The Eagles, I feel like if the Eagles barely beat the Cowboys, I'd be more likely to be like, all right, the Bears have a chance. But because the Eagles lost, a lot of people would think like, oh, the Bears would come in there and beat them. I don't see that with this locker room. I don't see this with the Eagles franchise. I actually see one of those games where they get on them pretty good. They're going to be angry. They're going to be hungry. Losing to the Cowboys is a big loss for the Eagles, especially wearing the Kelly green like the way they did, where they were winning in the second half, just laid an egg. So I like the Eagles in this one. I like them covering.
Covering 7?
I like them covering 7, even though I think the Bears are playing great. I don't think they match up well. I think the Eagles, Jalen Hurts, will protect the ball. I'm hoping that this week it was a good soul-searching week in the sense of coming together as a team, figuring it out together, and going out there to prove something on Friday. In front of the fans after Thanksgiving, everyone's going to be riled up, excited, loud, energy, all those things that the link provides. I see the Eagles going out there and having a great game and, getting back on track. Let's show a little bit more of who we were in the past and, getting things right this last part of the season.
And I say this as I look over your shoulder at the Kelly green.
Yeah.
I don't know what you might know. I don't know what the formula for what the criteria for wearing Kelly green is. I don't think they should have worn it at Dallas. I thought that was dumb.
You said that.
Not just because I said it before the game. I'm like, why are they wearing Kelly? This is a dicey game. They should be wearing it Friday. That's when they should be wearing it.
I think they're wearing all black.
Fine, but
all black's nasty.
Kelly green with the silver might be the best combination in all of sports. I think it's beautiful. It is beautiful.
Ooh, and black helmets.
They're
wearing all black.
Don't wear that on the
jersey,
road.
pants, and helmets this week.
Okay, fine.
Woo! But they are going to be flying.
Do not wear that on the road against the Cowboys. I don't like it. Not to mention, have you seen Dak's numbers against the NFC East? Have you seen that?
I haven't.
Let me read that to you real quick. I saw that this week, and this one kind of blew my mind. So Dak Prescott against NFC East opponents. What did I do with that? I might have deleted it. It's remarkable, like remarkable. It's really, really good. It's even against the Eagles. It's really good. Hold on, Nick. This is important to me. I might have sent it to you.
Yeah, he's been dominating the NFC East. He does a good job versus the NFC East historically.
I don't know what I did with it. Against all the NFC East teams, it is really, really, really good for Dak Prescott. Heavily in his favor. That's why I didn't like the fact that they wore Kelly green in that game. But anyway, that's beside the point. I think this is a large line that catches your eye with the way the Bears have been this year. They generally keep things close. I think it's really easy to look at this and say, no. The Bears aren't going to win, but it's not going to be over 7 points. And for that reason, I'm going the other way. I think Philly covers this. I don't think they're going to give it away and feed what the Bears do so well. I don't think the Bears are going to be able to run up and down the field on this defense. I think.
So you got Philly.
I got Philly. I got Philly by
Even with
8
all
or
their
more.
issues.
Yeah.
I
do, because I don't think the Bears, like, Caleb's doing a much better job this year. Like, he took 68 sacks last year. That led the league. Some of it was on the offensive line. Some of it was on him. He's doing a much better. He's got like less than 15 sacks given away this year, and it's week 12. He's on a great pace of being smart with the ball. It's Ben Johnson effect, right? Even though Caleb is not making stupid decisions to give the game away, they do still rely far too much on taking the ball away and running the ball, which it's good to rely on running the ball. And I don't think the Eagles are going to play into that for them. And to your point, after losing last week, I think this is a good game for the Eagles. I think there's a lot of energy in that stadium. Probably a little too much for a Chicago team that has not arrived, even though they're 8-3. And I think 8-4 is still fantastic for Chicago. And that's where they are after this game, after losing by, I think, probably by 10 or more. I think Philly pulls away on this one. All right, let's come back to Thanksgiving. This is an action-packed day. Like, does it get any better than waking up on Thanksgiving knowing you got a great day of turkey and being thankful ahead of you, and then you've got these 3 football
And for
games?
us, a little bit of soccer, huh?
That's right.
Yeah, we're going to soccer with the
little
kids.
family soccer
Little
game.
family soccer.
That's right.
Starting a new tradition, family soccer.
Reminder, there are no buys this week. It's a full slate. 3 games on Thursday, 1 on Friday, 11 on Sunday, and then Monday Night Football. Thanksgiving Day could see a lot of points in the second and third games. With KC and Dallas, that's a 51.5 over under, 52 over under, 51.5 in the last game in Cincy Baltimore. So it's going to be a fun day of watching football. Let's start with Green Bay at Detroit. Detroit minus 2.5. This game's at Detroit. Ailing offenses, right? Like, where's the Lions offense? Is it okay? Jahmyr Gibbs was incredible this past week.
Saved him.
Oh my gosh, I love watching Jahmyr Gibbs play. He's a great player. He had 219 yards rushing. But what else they got, right? With Dan Campbell calling plays, and like they've been a little stagnant. Their offensive line hasn't been very good. Like, they're good, but they haven't been great in certain situations. And the Packers offense, they haven't thrown for over 170 yards. So passing, have not gone over 170 since week 9. And guess what happened at that point, the biggest turning point? Tucker Kraft got hurt.
Yeah.
Right? The guy that was leading them in receiving yards got hurt. It's clearly hurt their offense.
No
and
doubt.
they also have this identity problem where they're not sure how much they were. Josh Jacobs should be back, which will help them, but they need Jordan Love to take another step. What happens in this game? Detroit minus 2.5.
I got Detroit. I think Detroit's going to when I was going through my trending up, down, I just don't know with LaFleur, like, how good they're going to be. I think there's something missing there, whether it's the way he coaches, the way he leads a team. They're good, but I just don't see them going into Detroit and win this game on Thanksgiving.
I'm with you. I think Detroit's going to turn a corner offensively, and I'm concerned about Green Bay and what they are offensively. I like their defense, and I'm excited to watch Micah Parsons play on Thanksgiving, but I've got Detroit minus 2.5, even though I think that line – I think Vegas wants us to do this. I think Vegas wants us to jump on Detroit winning by a field goal or more, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for the trap, and I'm going to bet against Vegas on this. I think Detroit wins this. All right, the 1:30 game Pacific time, Kansas City, Dallas. So the early predictions on this are that this might be the most watched regular season game in NFL history. You got the Cowboys brand, you got the Chiefs brand, you got Thanksgiving, you got what basically is an elimination game. Effectively, it isn't actually one, but it could be one, where both teams Chiefs have better playoff odds than the Cowboys, but the Cowboys are still alive and they're playing well. Their defense is better. With Quinnen Williams with Quinnen Williams on the field, they are stopping the run. Like, this team is much better defensively.
Jerry knew what he was doing all along.
Jerry, right now, and I know they're 5-5-1, but Jerry kind of looks pretty smart on this one.
He does.
Like, their defense is playing well. The current record for viewership of a regular season game is 42 million in 2022 when the Cowboys played the Giants on Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving already gets a lot of eyeballs. The projections for this one are over 50 million viewers of a regular season NFL football game. And there's so much at stake. You have a theory, though, of why it might exceed 50.
I do.
It's not like that unique, but what is it?
Well, I had to go through my page. We have 4 pages of notes here, and I scribbled them on 2 different pages. I should have just kept it on one. All right. You got the Dallas Cowboys brand, Kansas City Chiefs brand. That's obvious. Both really important game for playoffs to try to make the playoffs, right? All right. Let's just the football aspect of it all. That's great. Is that enough to break the record? I don't know. if it goes to 50, that's a 19.05% increase.
Nice.
If anyone wants to do the math, 42, 50, whatever. Well, I know Jerry Jones is probably trying to get Taylor Swift there, and he wants to, I was reading, he wants to roll out the red carpet and give her whatever he wants because he knows if Taylor's there watching it, viewership's going to go up, all the Swifties are going to watch it. So you're going to all of a sudden get millions of people watching that just to get it panned to Taylor Swift. I know that's been a part of the league for the last several years, and it's helped the NFL. It's helped both brands. The one thing I did mention to you before the show is they have a halftime show during Thanksgiving, and it's Post Malone. So that's a pretty awesome halftime show that they have that they're going to show little glimpses of. So Jerry's smart right here. It's a 1:30 kickoff, prime time on Thanksgiving Day, big matchup, potentially Taylor Swift there. You got Travis playing for the Chiefs, Pat Mahomes, all those things. But then you got Post Malone halftime show. You got all the bells and whistles. They're going to be showing all the celebrities at the game because there's probably going to be a lot of them in Dallas at Jerry World. So everything is adding up to break the record. But I don't think it's just about football. I think there's a little bit more in that. I think Post Malone and Taylor Swift absolutely helped that, but that's part of it. I mean, viewership. You want to make the viewers more intrigued, and they're going to try to do that, and they will do that.
As far as the product on the field, the Cowboys have the NFL's fourth highest scoring offense at 29.1 points a game and the second worst defense at 28.5 points per game allowed. But that's improving. So
Yeah.
I don't think that's where
They're starting to peak at the right time.
I do think the offense will persist, and that's what they are. The defense being as bad as it says that it is on paper, I don't think that's what they are at this moment. I think it's better. Since, like I mentioned, since Dallas traded for Quinnen Williams, they've shut down the run. 100 total rush yards allowed over the last 2 games. And what did Jerry say when he made the trade? Hey, I know Mike is a great player. Cap-wise, it was challenging for us from a money standpoint, but we also want to stop the run. And so far, in just a matter of weeks, that's what they're doing. They've also had 5 sacks. So last 2 games, they've allowed 100 total rushing yards, and they've had 5 sacks defensively. Okay, so Dallas is on the right path. Will they make the playoffs this year? Odds say it's unlikely. It's possible. But that's what makes for such an interesting game this weekend is both teams are in a must, and must is in all caps, must-win scenario for both teams. And that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And join it along with probably over 50 million people in the middle of the day on Thanksgiving. 2 great brands. This is going to be a great football game. The nightcap is Cincy at Baltimore.
Did we pick that game?
We did not.
Do you want to pick the game?
Kansas.
All that to say, let's pick the dang game.
Kansas City minus 3.5. What do you got? More than a field goal on the road.
I got Dallas, man.
I
think
do too.
Dallas is trending up in a way. I think they're playing. I know they didn't play well the first half last week, but Eberflus being a new coordinator, I mean, that's always – he had been there before, but they're starting to gel. Quinnen Williams, that addition, good job, Jerry. Good job, your staff getting them. I got Dallas in this one. Dallas winning the game in this one.
Dallas is playing with a ton of confidence. George Pickens, that acquisition has been – I mean, I mentioned Quinnen. We got to focus on George Pickens too. 9 for 154, 9 for over 150 yards against the Eagles. They also have CD, who's dropped a few balls, who's probably going to come on again. We know CD's not short of any kind of confidence, right?
Got to get on the jugs, man.
I know. Well, and just it's uncharacteristic, but he's dropped some balls. They are playing with loads of confidence, and Dak Prescott he's a fantastic leader. He's playing as well as he's played his entire career.
He's doing great.
And with the defense stepping up and playing better ball, I think this is a game that Dallas wins outright at home. I'm a little weary of this one too because I think this line screams, go ahead, take Dallas, right? You can have 3 points with Dallas because the line's 3.5. Take Dallas. That's what the books want you to do. So it's tricky. It's risky because you're going against what Vegas wants you to. You're going against what Vegas says, right? But at the same time, I'm comfortable with this bet. Dallas plus 3.5 and even Dallas money line, I like. All right, Nick. For Sunday, we already hit the Friday game. For Sunday, we're gonna go 3 games here for Sunday. Not all of them. We're going 3 games, 3 key games. Not just from a line standpoint, but from a matchup standpoint. Let's start with Houston at Indy. So Indy is at home, minus 4.5. That line is much smaller than it would have been if these teams matched up 3 weeks ago. I think C.J. Stroud will be back.
I don't know if that's an advantage to them right now.
Well, Davis Mills has just done just enough, right? It's not like they're not winning the game on Davis's arm. He's done just enough. So if Davis is playing, the question becomes, can he continue to do just enough?
Yep.
And then with C.J. Stroud, can the offense get back to being an actual advantage? But my question for Houston is, can the defense continue to carry them? They're 2 pass rushers, Will Anderson and Donnell Hunter. What a group, man. Those guys going into last week's game each had 8 sacks. Now I think they had 8 sacks in the game against Buffalo. You got 2 double-digit sack guys on each side of the line of scrimmage. This is a really good group. And Indy, like we talked about earlier in the show, there's a little bit of cause for concern. Like, they're going to obviously key on taking Jonathan Taylor away and saying, Daniel Jones, like, we know you can play, but can you win the game on your arm? Indy minus 4.5 on Sunday. What do you got?
I got Indy. I think that, the last week losing the Chiefs the way they did, sort of forgetting their identity. Obviously, there was different things the Chiefs did. Kudos to them for, sort of rattling the Colts. But I think they get back to the way they've been playing ball at home after Thanksgiving. I think that they roll on this one.
We're different on this one. I think Houston is playing with a ton of confidence. Regardless of who's at quarterback, I think this defense, it's the number 1 scoring defense in the NFL, and they get after the passer. They pose a lot of issues for any team they play offensively, and Indy right now, I think Indy's confidence is a little shaken. Being up 20-9 in the fourth quarter against the Chiefs and falling off like that, I think they're shaking a little bit. And I think Shane right now is going to be extra careful to not, like he did in fourth quarter and overtime, put him in a bad spot. And Houston rolls in still, I think, with nothing to lose. I mean, Houston's record, they're in the hunt, and they are 6-5, and they are surging with a ton of confidence, with like a nothing to lose sort of mentality. I like where Houston's at, and I like getting at least 4 points here. I'll take Houston plus 4. San Francisco at Cleveland. This is a big game for the Niners. The Niners are in the mix. Right now, the Niners sit at 8-4 as a wild card team. Their division is loaded. Obviously, we've got the Rams and Seahawks in that division as well. Brock Purdy has to clean things up. They've gotten a little healthier across the board. San Francisco minus 5 on the road against a Cleveland team that does a great job getting after the passer. And Shedeur Sanders claims every week he's going to get better. So what do you think in this one? San Francisco minus 5.
Yeah, this is a tough one. But I got Cleveland in this one. It was impressive. Shedeur's he doesn't lack confidence. He gets that. That's how he was raised by Deion. Deion's the same way.
Yep.
I've never seen a guy just so confident with his voice. And then obviously going out there, and they win. They beat a bad Raiders team, but in your first start, that's hard. That's his first week of practice. He alluded to that. What if I get a whole offseason? That's dangerous. As overly confident as it is, that's in his DNA, and that's who he is, and that's how he's always been. I do like it because he's being authentic to himself. I think this Cleveland team needs that. Mm-hmm. I think they need a quarterback that goes out there with this confidence. You played in Cleveland. They need a guy that changed that identity of Cleveland. They need a guy, and Shedeur very well could be that person with his personality. They need someone drastic like that to go in there and create the energy. You saw the plays that he was making where Myles Garrett's excited on the sideline. I think you're the one that said, man, that was different. You weren't used to them getting that excited about a player. And Shedeur has been waiting all season for this opportunity. He's going to be prepared. This is at home. They have the defense. Myles Garrett's going for the sack record. San Francisco, Brock Purdy had a lot of turnovers. I do know Shanahan is a great coach, and he'll have a game plan for Shedeur. But I think at Cleveland, Shedeur in his second start, I can see him getting a second victory against a good San Francisco team.
I think Brock Purdy obviously struggled last game. They found a way to win. This game is going to dictate whether or not people start talking about a quarterback competition. That's my forecast.
Interesting.
If Brock struggles, people are going to start asking, hey, down the stretch to make the playoffs, you don't want to fall. I mentioned a second ago, they are 8-4. You don't want to fall to 8-5 and put yourself at risk of not making the playoffs. This is a must-win football game. I think San Francisco likely wins the game, but I want Cleveland plus 5 because I don't think Purdy is 100% yet.
Yeah.
Right? I think that was a big reason why he threw those picks, even though he can be prone to turning the ball over. He's still not right. He's got that toe issue. And when you've got Myles Garrett bearing down on you like he's going to be for most of the game, this Cleveland defense is really good. I'm not sure what we're going to get out of Shedeur Sanders, but I'll take the 5 points at Cleveland for an energized Cleveland team that really has nothing to lose as well. Kind of out of the mix, but nothing to lose. I like plus 5, and I hope for Purdy's sake that he can get it done because otherwise we're going to start – I think we're going to have a lot of conversation about whether Mac Jones should be in there.
Yeah.
Especially given Purdy's not 100%. All right, last one, Buffalo-Pittsburgh. This is a big one, a must-win game for both teams. The books are starting to lose a little faith in Buffalo because just a few weeks ago, Buffalo would have been favored in this game no matter where the game is being played. But right now it sits at – they are favored. What am I thinking? I'm looking at the wrong line here. Buffalo at Pittsburgh. Aaron Rodgers' status still a little bit uncertain. Buffalo is a 3.5-point favorite. Now, Buffalo can't stop the run, but Pittsburgh doesn't run the ball that well. Pittsburgh is a pretty inconsistent team. But then again, so is Buffalo. So are you comfortable with 3.5 points, or where are you going here? Buffalo minus 3.5 at Pittsburgh.
Yeah, this one's an intriguing one with Aaron Rodgers' status up in the air, and I don't think it really matters to me with that. But I got Buffalo in this one. I mean, Josh Allen playing. I mean, it's on his shoulders. We know that, but I do think the matchup says like it's enough for him to get it done and do it more in 3.5. So I got Buffalo in this one.
I am not a believer in Buffalo. I'm going Pitt plus 3.5, even if it's Mason Rudolph. I don't know that Pitt wins this game, but I don't trust Buffalo. I think they ask way too much of Josh Allen. If Josh Allen is off the charts good, they win. If he's not, then Josh Allen, every single week, Josh Allen is not going to be what they need him to be to win. It's just not realistic, right? Because the guys around him, I don't even think are good enough, right?
Brandon Cooks now.
True, Brandon Cooks now.
I have a feeling he's going to have a big touchdown in this game.
But Pittsburgh has found ways, and at home on Sunday, I'll take the plus 3.5 points. I think it's going to be a close one. It's going to be kind of a weird game, I think. I think it'll be a close one. Not sure who wins, but I'll take plus 3.5 for Pitt.
Brandon Cooks over under 75 receiving yards.
Under.
You really think?
Yeah, if you look at what he's done on the whole year, and this is his first week, and 75 receiving yards is not easy to do. Definitely under on that. Why, you like over?
Yeah.
Really?
But Josh Allen,
you should bet on that because I'll bet you the over under in Vegas is like 30
I just know how important it is for guys like that are talented like he is. I mean, there's a lot of times in his career he goes to a team, signs a contract, and if you don't have a quarterback to throw to you, like it's going to make you look really bad. Look at Devontae Adams. Like it just made him look bad. I mean, I know he had Aaron, but that was just complete debacle.
Yeah.
With Josh Allen, there's going to be some broken plays, and I feel like he's going to get some yards on some broken plays. And there's going to be times where he's just going to take it deep on a broken play, and Josh is just going to throw it all the way down the field. And I feel like we're going to see a major touchdown where Brandon Cooks gets loose, and it's a scramble play, and he just launches it to him.
Well, there you go.
We'll talk about it next week when my prediction's correct.
It's a loaded slate. Like we said, there's no buys this week. 3 Thursday games, 1 Friday game, 11 Sunday games, and a Monday Night Football game. That Monday night game is Giants in New England. New England's a 7.5-point favorite. That is episode 16. Week 12 reaction, Week 13 preview. Please, again, check us out. Instagram at The Season Pod, the SZN Pod. And get our full podcast wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, wherever. And make sure to hit rate, right? Rate us 5 stars, whatever. Like, you think it's 1 star? Rate 1 star. You think it's 5? Rate 5. Whatever you think. And check us out on YouTube as well, YouTube channel at The Season Pod as well. As always, thank you for listening. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. We're done.